Before I say anything, I want to say I do want to make like a full-length essay about this at some point. Not gonna be anything fancy. I'm probably just gonna be reading off of a piece of paper because my computer's still not working. So, but yeah, this is not like an anti-white video at all. Just had to get that out of the way. I just feel like there are lots of ways that black music has influenced several popular genres and several not popular genres in so many different ways. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I don't have like receipts in front of me, so I can't list out a bunch of bands and a bunch of artists. However, I would love to do that at some point because I do have like receipts somewhere. I just need to like make the video. But yeah, I'm gonna begin this with saying, let me think of one random genre. Oh, before I say anything, I will also wanted to mention, I think this is part of the problem. I think people have a very warped view on when certain genres happened and when they were popular and when they weren't. For example, I had a talk with one of my friends, like we were chilling, chatting about music, and I was telling him about punk, and he was like, people still listen to punk? I thought punk died in the 80s. And like my first thought was, wait, what does he mean? That's when hardcore punk was at its peak popularity in the 1980s. Like that was literally hardcore punk's peak popularity. So I told him that and he was like, "What? What is that?" So yeah, and it's like I feel like there's a whole lot of nuance that people don't know about because either they don't really give a shit about it or they don't really care. I don't know what other reasons there are, but yeah. Like, or for example, shoegaze. I've heard some people think shoegaze is a new thing, but it started in the 1990s. Uh, but I've met people that genuinely thought shoegaze just barely became a thing in the late 2010s, which is insane. And this is what I mean. And part of this includes talking about Black history. So let me just bring out a random genre of music. Philly soul. You probably might not have heard of it if you're a regular person, but Philly soul is a type of soul music that originated around the mid 1970s, and I would characterize it as like a very lush, sensual, vocal group harmonized kind of uh, style of soul music. Just think of the Spinner song "I'll Be Around." That's like Philly soul right there, or any Smokey Robinson song, or like "Love Train" by the OJ's, like that kind of stuff. Or even I would consider like um, "Holy Holy" by Marvin Gaye a Philly soul song. Like Philly soul is the lush, string heavy kind of uh, really sentimental like ooh, baby. And then they all start like harmonizing and they're all in the background, like, I won't hurt you. And then like the lead singer says something like, I would never hurt you, baby. And then they all are like, no, 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 or something, or whatever. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, but yeah. Uh, Many people don't know that that was quite literally the proto version of disco. And yes, there were a lot of other reasons that disco came about, especially because of progressive electronic music in the early 70s. But Philly soul was probably the most important part because there was still like a danceable element to Philly soul. There still was. It's not like it didn't exist. It's not like it was just laid back soul with like, no tempo and it's just super slow. And that was what inspired disco. And disco is probably the most popular genre in the 1970s. You go to a discotheque and that's all they play. You see what I mean? But I feel like a lot of people don't know where that came from. And you listen to a lot of disco, you hear how they sing, it's super soulful. It's got those like inflections of 1970s soul because that's where it came from. There's a reason so many black artists in the 1970s moved towards disco. Why all these like 60s soul stars and 1970s soul stars, like Stevie Wonder, for example, moved to disco in 1980. Are we shocked? Like, are we surprised? That was the thing, you know? And then disco turned into boogie disco, which is like this more funk styled disco that was popular in the 1980s. Like think of like Never Too Much by Luther Vandross, like that kind of music. But I would also mention a huge genre that is incredibly important everywhere right now, especially funk. Where did funk come from, you may be asking? James Brown. You guys see what I mean? But I don't think a lot of people know that. Like maybe on the surface level, they probably assume so, but and they might like on the surface think, oh yeah, funk is like, that kind of black music that's got like the don't like that kind of shit. They might just think that, but I feel like it's important to know where it came from so that no one can tell you that's not where it came from. Especially there's too many black people that aren't like that don't feel like proud of being black because they don't think there's anything to be proud of. Music is a huge thing that they could absolutely be proud of. Like funk inspired funk rock, think of Talking Heads. They would not have even had anything for Remain in Light if it weren't for that. 1990s baggy music, like the kind of dancey, psychedelic, funky music in the 90s that was popular in the UK. Like a couple Oasis songs come to mind, like Columbia by Oasis, like or some like My Bloody Valentine songs, especially Soon, like that kind of music, absolutely was inspired by funk. Funk is a black R&B genre. And think of like R&B in general. Like R&B is such a popular genre, and it's been since the 1980s that there are so many people that are trying to copy that style. Think of the 90s with so all these like boy groups and girl groups. Where did they get those soulful inflections from? Those vocal harmonies, those chord progressions. That all came from R&B. R&B came from soul. Soul is a black genre, and I think it is beautiful that there are so many people that are trying to replicate all these things. Fucking jazz fusion found its way into metal. This is what I mean. And this is something that people should be proud of. I'm proud of it. I'm a huge fan of Meshuggah, of Periphery, of all those gent bands that have like those jazz fusion inflections in them. I love that shit. And I think it's beautiful that they incorporate it. I'm not like I think that it's beautiful when people incorporate different aspects of different cultures and different like other things, you know? I think it's beautiful. And I think a lot of people might think when I say, oh, it's a black thing, it's a black thing, that I might be saying, like, oh, no, no one else can have that. I want to share that with everyone. I want everyone to appreciate music where they came from, music where I came from, everywhere. And I want them to feel empowered to incorporate that. If they're a musician, incorporate jazz, incorporate R&B, incorporate soul, and incorporate funk. Do all of it because all of it is beautiful and all of it is important. I mean, think of like and there's so many ways that like black music has borrowed from white music. There was a lot of funk rock bands in the 1970s that were black funk rock bands, but they were inspired by white groups. There's plenty of groups that were inspired by white groups. This is not like an uncommon thing. It's not just only white people are taking from black people. We're sharing with each other, you know? Black people and white people share art with each other, and we incorporate elements that we share with each other. It's a mix, and it's beautiful, and it's something that we should all be proud of. And I think that's something that brings us together. Music always brings us together as people. And I think that, like, showing appreciation for, like, where things came from, whether that be because of a bad thing, whether that be because of a good thing, God damn it, let it be, you know? I mean, uh, I am hugely inspired by so many white groups. Brodequin, this is an all-white group. And I don't care. I love brutal death metal. I love this group. Or like Morbid Angel, one of my favorite death metal groups, Suffocation. And there's so many other death metal bands that have black people in them because it doesn't matter. Your skin color does not determine whether or not you can like these things. I love Periphery, and you'd probably look at me and think I like hip hop. Think of all the ways that hip hop has influenced music. Think of sampling. Sampling is huge everywhere. Like that's everywhere. Sampling, like in the 2020s, you can't find music that's popular right now without sampling. That's a huge thing. Or like uh there's a pop punk band that someone told me that I look like the lead singer of. They're called Paradox. That might be racist for them to just think that, but you see what I mean? Anyone can enjoy anything. It doesn't matter. I like Death Industrial, for crying out loud, and that's some weird ass shit, you know? But I like European folk music. I love Celtic folk music, Finnish folk music, Swedish folk music. I love Japanese classical music. I love Chinese classical music. I love Cambodian folk music. You see what I mean? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Where you came from doesn't determine what you get to enjoy. I know so many people that like jazz more than I do. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. And I think it's beautiful when people know where these things come from. Where I can be like, yeah, I like hip hop, and people will be like, oh yeah, yeah, me too. And then we talk about it, and then we're on the same page, and I don't have to be like, oh yeah, hip hop was a thing at this time period. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that started around that time. And they're like, what, huh? I mean, new metal is hugely inspired by hip hop already. Do I even need to begin like with rap metal and rap rock? But you might even know exactly what I think about it. I think it's fucking beautiful that they've incorporated all those things. It's not it's not bad. And sure, there's a lot of really shitty rap metal, rap rock groups that are just kind of blends, but I I I love when people incorporate it anyway. Yeah, that's the end of the rant.